Elon Musk is destroying Twitter. He's burning it all down. He's so incompetent, he fired 50% of the staff, and now the rest are resigning and leaving en masse. Under his failed leadership, Twitter is losing millions upon millions per hour. This is probably something you have already heard. It's a popular talking point nowadays. But the reality is, most of the time, and I mean the vast majority of the time, this is said by people who have absolutely no idea how businesses work or function. They don't even know that half of this is completely normal when a business gets bought out or taken over by someone else. That changes like this are pretty much to be exactly expected. So everything's kind of on point. You know, everyone nowadays is a business analyst who knows what's best for Twitter and how things happen, and that these layoffs are completely unreasonable and things like that. You know, your favorite Hollywood B-list celebrity now is a complete business virtuoso who knows exactly how bad Elon Musk's decision making is. It's all common ground here. But today we will be listening to an actual reasonable source, a person who I feel usually has a very solid opinion based on reality and fact, and it's going to be interesting. Obviously, I'm talking about Upper Echelon Gaming, who has made a video, The Twitter Death Spiral. Yeah, doesn't sound too good for Twitter. I'm pretty interested to hear what he says, because the reality is I currently haven't seen actually anything really bad, and I'm honestly not sure he will provide us with anything that I will actually go and say, yeah, this actually does look pretty bad for Twitter, because he is a guy who actually digs through and finds out what's happening. So let's see if he can change my opinion that Twitter is actually dying in a super bad position because of Elon Musk's decision making. Let's go.
This video is brought to you by Masterworks. Stick around to hear more about the special offer they're providing to the entire Upper Echelon community. Okay, today might be a long one because today is going to be a comprehensive review of the chaos that has enveloped Twitter from as many sides as I can possibly explore, with as much information as I can present, because honestly, it's just fascinating. Some people may recall my prior coverage. I have long been a critic of the Elon Musk Twitter buyout for a couple of reasons, but chief among them, it felt like a massively overinflated offer, a terrible deal to actually execute, and it came across more like an ego stroke.
Okay, so he actually does have a small point of it being an over-evaluated offer to a degree. But at the same time, this is kind of a good point, but this is kind of also a bad point. Because the reality is that Twitter is pretty much in a monopoly on the town square about public opinions and the place that you want to express yourself and where people go to talk about current events. It is literally a monopoly, and it's kind of hard to actually estimate how much a monopoly like this would be worth. Because technically, if Elon Musk fixes it up even a little bit, he will most likely regain and make a profit off of buying Twitter. And that's probably what he's going for. But the reality, yeah, the buyout price that he set is overblown, and a lot of people said it's too high. And yes, obviously it's too high, but we cannot predict the future, and no one could predict the future, what happened with the Twitter stock, how actually low it fell. So that's the main reason why people are saying that the price was way too large. And you know, to a degree, I would also agree. But honestly, that's not exactly a bad thing. And even if he did something like this sheerly out of ego, that doesn't actually mean anything bad.
Than an actual serious proposal at the time. I had various different theories on what could or might happen, but now that the deal has actually gone through, with pandemonium in tow, let's take a look back at what those predictions actually were. From the beginning, I was extremely skeptical of this buyout. A meme number, $54.20, $4.20, when the real value of Twitter was obviously lower and falling by the day. Massive insider Tesla selling right at the peak of its recent market price, where Elon Musk sold billions of dollars worth of the stock to finance this deal. And a sudden
that's not actually surprising. He needed to gain assets to actually buy Twitter, so he had to liquidate some of his stock. That makes perfect sense.
Pivot towards spam bots or fake accounts only after due diligence process had been signed away. Things felt really off.
The due diligence thing, we currently even now are hearing that potentially, Elon Musk is currently trying to not give the resignation bonuses to the most upper branch of Twitter executives, because specifically of what he found, that they were keeping secrets from him. Even when the court said, yeah, you need to give him all this information, they still arguably haven't given him. So this is still actually, I'm pretty sure even now it's kind of evolving. We're not sure what's happening there.
My prediction, if I recall correctly at least, was that Elon Musk would try and tank the offer. It was a bad deal to take in the first place. He had already reaped very obvious benefits from it, such as a pretext for dumping a great deal of his own Tesla stock, it seems. And the most obvious method of doing this, given his sudden pivot towards spam accounts and real users on the platform, that kind of
Well, that's not actually pivot. If you want... So, Elon Musk actually did everything kind of right. It didn't succeed, obviously. He was way too overconfident in what he thought that he can achieve. But the reality is, if you want to tank Twitter's price and say, no, we can't actually do a deal like this, it's going to be lower, that would instantaneously destroy the stock price of Twitter. So it would technically still be a bad deal, but he would pay less, which would be a good thing for him. And there is no doubt that Elon Musk definitely tried to do it. And the easiest way to do that is just literally proving how much spam accounts there are on Twitter. If you currently go on Twitter, it's extremely easy to find all of the top, for example, anti-Trump accounts. If you look at the top posters, they're usually like, oh, he has 3,000 followers, but he's also following 3,000 people. Oh, this guy's following 4,000 people and also has 4,000 followers. You can see so many accounts like this. Obviously, Twitter as a company is trying to underestimate the amount of bots on their platform, because the more bots, the less efficient marketing is on Twitter. And that's a huge way to get money. In fact, that was one of the big ways that Twitter actually got money, through advertisement. So that's an issue. If Elon Musk can tank Twitter and say, at first I wanted to buy Twitter because I thought it's like 95% real users, but then it turns out it's like 70% or 80% or whatever percent, that's a huge difference. And that could call for a price adjustment. And that's definitely what Elon Musk went for. It just didn't work out for him.
rhetoric would be to claim that Twitter misrepresented material conditions, thereby invalidating his original offer as a result of their actions. That is precisely what he did. My secondary prediction was that the court case filed for that explicit reason would be settled in private, out of court, and the parties would go their separate ways.
Yes, obviously, that's actually how you usually do these things. He's not actually legitimately trying to sue them, because suing them would be a waste of time. You want to settle these things out of court. The majority circumstances and happenings in big companies like this is, when someone sues someone, usually it is done out of court. They arrange a meeting and they talk shit out, and one side gets maybe something, the other side gets something. No one actually wants to take this to court when it's two big companies, unless it's super serious and one side is super sure about them winning.
But that's where I turned out to be completely wrong. From the outside looking in, it was pretty clear what most likely happened, and far from my own gut instinct on this, it appears that Twitter was successful in ramming this wildly inflated deal down the billionaire's throat. Elon Musk, after numerous different arguments in court, claimed that Twitter was making the deal impossible, or stopping him from having all the information,
yes,
when in reality they had given him all the information that they had at their disposal.
There's still argument about that. They say they gave him all the information, but Elon's now trying to not give again the top executives at the time their golden parachutes taken away, because they haven't given them all the information, and he's going to be I'm pretty sure he's suing them for that now, so we have to see and wait what happens with that.
Proposal has now officially taken over as the God Emperor Supreme of the platform. More on that in just a minute. And my predictions have borne out as mostly accurate for the duration, with a pretty big surprise ending. To summarize, the entire thing seemed like a massively overvalued purchase. Elon Musk knew this and had ulterior motives for the deal to begin with. He tried to back out multiple times, multiple ways, claiming that Twitter was...
Yes, again, he just overestimated himself. He thought that that's a short way to actually do it, but in reality, kind of wasn't. Because, again, let me explain this the most easiest way possible. You set a price to buy something, and then you need to check out if everything is actually good, so you want to buy it. So, Elon Musk thought he's going to get the numbers to prove that it's not actually worth to buy it for that, because their numbers aren't good enough or faked or whatever. So he could back out and offer, well, not offer, but readjust his offer to something lower. That's what he wanted to do. It's just unsuccessful, but as a tactic, that's a pretty decent tactic.
Violating their obligations to him, but ultimately failed to tank the arrangement completely. Eventually he caved, bought the platform for the pre-signed price tag, and took over. But now, oh boy, now we are witnessing absolute chaos and pandemonium. All right, today's video sponsor, once again,
Masterworks.
is Masterworks. I would like to
Masterworks will fall apart at some point. That's my prediction, because it hasn't experienced bad times yet.
They source art with millions of dollars, sit at a position just to sell and disperse profit for people to invest without needing yield from millions of auction records around the world. They source art with the greatest potential of dollars each. After that, they wait for the most opportune time to sell.
Oh, it's still that. Jesus Christ, that's a pretty long ad, huh?
Acquire and release more art sponsorships, which is basically every month. They seem to acquire and release more art directly. Again, there's a first things first, in a torrential downpour of internet opinions and social media takes about what this purchase means, why it happened, and what will come next. It is, after all, the third largest tech acquisition of all time, I believe, and easily the largest acquisition by a single person in history. In that kind of crowded atmosphere of opinions, if you will, I need to adequately explain my own foundation. I have now asserted directly 3 times, perhaps even 4, that the deal is massively overinflated or massively overvalued, but that premise is actually critical to understanding why the platform is now an uncontrolled dumpster fire. In the third quarter of 2022, rather the third quarter earnings call transcript for Tesla, Elon Musk said the following, quote, "Although, obviously, myself and the other investors are obviously overpaying for Twitter right now, the long-term potential for Twitter, in my view, is, in order of magnitude, greater than its current value."
Yes, exactly. Because the brutal reality here is Twitter has been leaking money for forever. People are saying, oh, under Elon Musk, Twitter is losing now millions, but it was doing that before Elon Musk. If Elon Musk fixes that alone, Twitter will be actually a profitable company all of a sudden, and that alone should technically most likely make it to the on a point where he at least recuperates the money that he spent buying it, potentially.
End quote. That right there should be enough. Musk knows the platform is overvalued, and yet made the offer include $420 as a joke despite this. However, in addition, even his own venture capital investors were trying to back out of the deal, same as he was, before it was eventually finalized. Andrea Waln at Manhattan Venture Partners notably said that the platform is really only worth 10 to 12 billion in her eyes, and that her firm in particular was desperately trying to exit the deal. All of this.
Well, yes. Okay. So, venture capitalism, if you don't know what that is we're gonna take risks, but if these risks pay off, we're gonna get a huge chunk of the payoff. That is essentially how venture capitalism works. And when we're talking about a huge company that is willing to invest millions in venture capitalism, there's a thing. There is absolutely no venture capitalism firm that is okay investing literal tens of billions if they can actually cut these billions up into smaller chunks and invest it into other places. If they think that Twitter only is worth 10 billion, not that 50 or however, or 30, I think, 30 billion that Elon Musk said, 1/3, they cannot reasonably actually ever want to go through with the deal because they technically can invest their money way better on other things. So it is completely normal that a venture capital firm, when they think that something is worth only 1/3, they don't want to actually go into that because they can spend that money in their opinion, way better ways. So this is completely normal. This is not a red flag. This actually means nothing. It's just this venture capitalism firm is, working as intended.
This is to say and demonstrate that the Twitter acquisition at $54.20 per share was objectively too high for its current cash flow and valuation. Musk and his investors...
The reality is, every stock is a meme stock. Twitter is just literally the de facto leader when it comes to Twitter's own niche. It is a monopoly. Again, it is a monopoly, and that's what makes it worth.
Investors tried to back out of this purchase, and when that effort failed, the deal finally went through. But here's the real question. What's happened since then? Going rapid fire, because some of this doesn't really need lengthy explanations, Elon Musk entered the company and started tearing it down. He fired the CEO, Parag Agrawal, the CFO, Ned Segal, the head of general counsel, Sean Edgett, I believe.
Yes, this was all expected.
And even the head of legal, trust, and safety, Vijaya Gade.
Yes, this was all expected. Okay, so Elon Musk owns Tesla and he owns SpaceX. Or, how much of what he owns, don't quote me on that. But the point is, he has people who can replace these people. He does not need them. The reason why Elon Musk bought Twitter is the same reason that Activision, not Activision, but Microsoft bought Blizzard or Activision or whatever they bought. The only reason why someone buys a company is if they think that the company is extremely mismanaged. And looking at Twitter, that's true. In 10 years, the only real feature that they implemented is edit button, I think. That's it. 10 years for an edit button. Obviously, the company's shit. They don't implement anything. They have literal thousands upon thousands of workers doing literally fucking nothing except playing pool on pay time. So, firing these people is obviously expected. If you're taking over a company, you are firing everyone at the top because you think that they are incompetent. So this is not a red flag. If he didn't do this, then that would actually be a red flag, because then what the fuck is he doing?
These executives were set to receive tens of millions of dollars in exit bonuses, but nope. Elon Musk claims that the termination was for cause, meaning he had a reason to do it other than simply because I wanted to, and thus they are currently being denied those exit packages.
Obviously.
I make no pretense right now as to what his reasons might actually be, other than to say that the idea of not paying tens of millions of dollars right now from a bloated, overvalued corporation he was forced to buy, kind of against his will it seems, is probably very appealing. One indication of corruption we do have is that Elon Musk has now openly acknowledged, even validated a theory and accusation that Twitter employees were selling verification badges for upwards of $15,000 apiece.
Yeah, this has been known for a very long time. Our mouses are touching. This has been known for a very long... Put your mouse also here, please. This has been known for a very long time. This is happening also on Instagram and everywhere where you can get verified. Employees will sell it because in reality, selling a badge a month is absolutely ridiculously lucrative.
In no uncertain terms, Elon Musk agreed that this was in fact the case, publicly as the now private owner of the company, meaning that by any realistic definition, we have no actual grounds to doubt that it's true. If a major tech company CEO or owner says, no, the company I run did not do this obviously unethical or corrupt thing, we can logically be kind of skeptical of that. But when the new sole director and owner of a company says, oh yeah, my company did do these horribly corrupt things, how can we sit here and say, no, I don't believe you? Maybe you don't believe him, but when pretty much every single thing he does right now damages the company's reputation and value further, I see no reason for him to lie about this particular issue.
I hope he does show us how every single action Elon Musk currently is taking is damaging Twitter's reputation. Because that's that is an overbloat. For example, people were saying, look at the lawlessness that Elon Musk brought when he bought Twitter. And the reality is, nothing changed. The terms of service didn't change. The way that content is moderated didn't change. Nothing changed for the first... I think nothing still has changed, by the way. But at least for the very first couple of weeks, Elon Musk did not do any single change to any kind of moderation. And people were yelling, oh, look at this now. It's unmoderated and it's bad and so on. No, that was a lie.
Anyway, just now I said something critical. sole
Yes.
director. And yes, I meant to say that because
No, wait, the critical thing you said is that everything he is currently doing is damaging Twitter's brand.
Elon Musk also fired the board of directors. Honestly, that's not really
Yes.
unexpected. The board of directors primarily existed to protect the shareholders.
Board of directors only exist mainly because shareholders exist. It's very rare that the board of directors actually matters or is influential or is even needed in a privately held company.
And with Twitter transitioning from a publicly owned company to a private one, that purpose no longer has any merit. Still, combined with the elimination of basically all major executives at the company in his first few days, these massive upheavals in tandem have installed Elon Musk as the one and only voice at Twitter with any real power. That is true.
Not true. Because firing the main executives still means that the moderation teams, the smaller teams, and the leaders of those smaller teams are still at foot and still at play. If you fire the director of finance, finance still continues to happen. Everyone knows what their job is. Everyone under the director of finance still does their job. It's just the director of finance that gave direction is fired. So this is not a big deal.
Truly, and I know it's kind of a meme when I say this, but it's true. That is truly just the beginning. Next, Elon Musk began to gut Twitter at a company-wide level.
Yes,
Whether or not
good.
you are in favor or against this decision is kind of irrelevant. I find myself with no sympathy whatsoever here, but maybe that's just me, because the effects of this are kind of undeniable. Entire
What
teams
effects?
fired. On a worldwide scale, the company was put through mass layoffs that
Yes.
decreased the workforce by something like 50%.
Yes.
Some individual departments were targeted more than others, which will logically lead to our next major focal point in a second. But among the most affected areas, there was content moderation, trust and safety, sales,
Yes.
advertising, human rights,
Yes.
ethics, transparency, and more. In direct response to all this, a class action lawsuit has emerged, filed.
Yeah, this is not going to go anywhere. But anyway, none of that matters. The reality is, Twitter, when it started off and it became absolutely ginormous, it had how many workers did it have? How many employees? Like 100 or something, and it managed more people than it is managing now. The reality is almost no one is really needed at Twitter for it to function. Currently, most people are banned, and the platform is still functioning. Surprise, surprise. Because the reality is, it's mostly automated. It's completely not necessary. When he's saying Elon Musk fired people that are responsible for advertising, does that matter? Twitter is not actually making money. So, firing the people responsible for advertisement and replacing them or completely restructuring how that works is not a bad idea. If your company is losing money, you should fire people. You should trim the fat. Trimming the fat is very, very necessary because people who do nothing are a negative impact on people who actually do things. That is the big problem. Elon Musk potentially currently is firing everyone he deems not necessary. Then he's gonna set. He already has set some kind of wacky ultimatum for people to do, and that's gonna be a litmus test. That's going to be the litmus test for people who actually are capable of accomplishing something. As much as I understand, he's currently kind of doing it, but even if he's not, that is to be expected. He's going to make his employees do some kind of unreasonably huge job, and he's going to see who's actually going to manage and who's not going to manage, because that will instantaneously show who needs to be fired. Because Elon Musk most likely wants the most competent people working for him. That's why Tesla works. That's why SpaceX works. Because he doesn't hire incompetent people who are trash at their job. So obviously, most of Twitter is going fucking bye-bye.
Filed in San Francisco, I believe, alleging that Twitter has violated mass layoff notification policy, more specifically the WARN, W-A-R-N Act,
That's not
by
gonna
failing
slide.
to properly relay information to employees in advance of termination. That's probably going to fall apart immediately. It seems
That's gonna fall apart and not slide, because people who are let go aren't just like instantaneously let go. They still get the 1 month or whatever. They're let go in the sense that they are blocked from even going into Twitter. but they are still gonna get their money for that month of employment or something. Their employment only gets terminated after that month, or however long or however long it's in the contract. But they just can't access their emails or anything, because you do not want a disgruntled employee have access to their email and fuck shit up, or to the system.
That Twitter is creating severance packages that extend into 2023 in an effort to abide by WARN Act policy, but with the acquisition now fully executed, Twitter has become an ideological war zone. How do I even begin here?
As it was previously.
Starters, the fact that certain departments were hit harder than others has already been totally politicized. The Trust and Safety Department, long decried by conservatives as a way to silence their voices, in particular,
Yes.
was specifically gutted by these layoffs in what seemed to be a very deliberate way.
Yes.
Inversely, however, this department is seen by opposing political groups as a last line of defense against misinformation and fascism, or something like that.
Yes.
In order to exert pressure, activist organizations are now deliberately targeting Twitter advertisers, demanding that they pull support from the platform in an effort to undermine the current trajectory of what Musk appears to be doing.
Yes, and this is bullshit, because nothing has changed and those activists are still going after the advertisements. Literally nothing has changed, and they're still trying. It's just they hate Elon Musk at this point, and they fear what is going to happen to Twitter, that their safe space is going to be destroyed, and that's it. They're going to go after the advertisements. This is absolutely... Well, this is technically Elon's fault, but this doesn't matter.
Over 60 activist organizations are now campaigning to remove advertising dollars from Twitter as a whole,
that's a lot.
with some success, I might add, because they perceive this new operating structure to be harmful and dangerous to democracy. Now, as all of this is happening in a very condensed timeline, we have some of the most chaotic misinformation policy enforcement on Twitter in its entire platform history, and bear with me because this might take a little bit of explaining. To understand this next part, we need to go back in time to 2018, when Jack Dorsey was CEO of the company, not Elon Musk. During a series of media interviews and public statements in the aftermath of, I believe, the banning of Alex Jones on major social media networks, which was kind of a focal point for a lot of people, Jack Dorsey had a few things to say, including an open acknowledgement that Twitter is, quote, more left-leaning.
Yes.
Jack Dorsey admitted that the company has a left-wing bias and further elaborated that conservatives at the company, workers or employees, quote, again, feel silenced by the just general swirl of what they perceive to be the broader percentage of leanings within the company, and I don't think that's fair or right, end quote.
Yes.
This is a pretty clear indication that Twitter contains a largely established political bias. Of course, he would
Yes.
also swear up and down in that...
It makes... So, yes, this... By the way, this just further justifies the fact that Elon Musk fired those teams, because... If there's a bias, especially considering we know that he actually talked privately with Jack Dorsey, we know that he most likely knows this because Jack Dorsey is bringing it up himself. So yeah, it makes sense that he's firing people. I currently see absolutely nothing that, by the way, is pushing Twitter in the death spiral.
Same interview, that having a corporate structure controlled by left-leaning ideology in totality to such a degree that opposing viewpoints were too afraid to even speak somehow does not affect corporate policy at all. But the reality is that when a group of people have similar thought patterns and beliefs, so much so that the opposition ceases to even speak about it out of fear, that will inexorably affect policy in either a conscious or unconscious way.
Obviously, yes.
Why does this matter? Well, it matters because during all of this, mass layoffs, advertiser pressure from activist organizations, executives being fired for cause, and an open statement by the new owner that the company has been, selling verified badges in a pseudo-black market of corruption, Twitter's...
Again, that does not damage Twitter at all. None of this actually damages Twitter at all, because how can you damage something that people are still using? No one's quitting. And how can you damage something that is no longer a publicly buyable product? It's a private company now. You technically can't damage it in those ways by definition.
Fact-checking, or context tool called Birdwatch, for the first time in history, fact-checked the Biden administration on their official White House profile.
Nice.
Effectively, the White House account misrepresented material facts and falsely claimed credit for something they did not do. And when accurately criticized for this lie, they deleted the tweet. That is not a small thing. Think about it. The White House lied, pretended that Biden had done something he had nothing to do with, got called out by a platform that had never before scrutinized their statements,
True.
and then deleted the claim. The White House did that. We live in a circus. However, it doesn't stop there. Right around the same time, while discussing a massive drop in revenue from activist organizations pressuring advertisers, while nothing had changed for content moderation, Elon Musk himself was fact-checked by the same tool. Remember, just one day prior, even Bloomberg had reported that a coalition of over 60 activist organizations, including the Anti-Defamation League, as well as Accountable Tech, were now deliberately ramping up pressure on advertisers to get them to pull back ads. What Elon Musk said in that tweet is objectively true, and yet he was fact-checked, the owner of the platform, remember that, by the same tool that was now inexplicably, in defiance of its entire history till that point, also fact-checking the White House. Twitter's content moderation, up till now with a cohesive, unassailable, and one-sided political ideology, as admitted by their prior CEO, because the opposition was too afraid to even speak about their opinions at the company, is in absolute chaos. Still, a lot of this is widely reported and perhaps uninteresting for those who want to hear about things that are less covered. So let's go down.
I don't understand how this is supposed to be chaos. I honestly don't understand the point. Nothing currently is. Nothing here is currently telling me Twitter is going to go into this spiral. None of this matters. None of this matters for a company. Again, as long as he doesn't give us any facts about, oh, Elon Musk can't actually make Twitter profitable, or Elon Musk can't actually change anything how it works in Twitter and it's always going to lose money, unless he says that, none of this matters.
Down that road for a little bit. First of all, Twitter is now asking some of the fired workers to please come back. Turns out they may have had platform critical information.
Oh yeah, I know this one. This is interesting.
They never passed on, and the mass layoffs hit so fast and so hard they weren't even able to do it. But this level of chaos has side effects.
Okay, so first of all, this level of chaos does not actually have side effects, because no one at Twitter probably knew anything that only one person in life knows. But I can explain this. This is actually a real thing, and some of you can learn from this situation. So, when you come into a company, and if you are competent, if you're actually smart, you're going to do the same thing I do. You're going to learn some shit that will make you almost invaluable to the company, and no one's going to want to fire you, because if they fire you, teaching someone or making someone do this that you previously did is going to be too much of a pain. And this is what happened at Twitter. Elon Musk leads actual companies that are competent, aka companies that do not allow a situation where someone at work is the only person who literally understands how something functions. Okay? And this is seemingly what has happened in Twitter. In reality, if you have a function that is being done, you have a person who mainly does it and can do it perfectly, but then you have like one or two people who also know how this thing works and why and what's are happening with it. Okay, that's how you're supposed to. That's how it's supposed to work. But in companies, some that are not run as well as others, this does not happen. People learn something and they never share their knowledge with other people, because then they are more valuable. Most likely in SpaceX and Tesla, shit like that doesn't happen. Everyone can be fired at any moment in time, and their job can be replaced by someone else and done for a while until they get someone new hired. In Twitter, it wouldn't be surprising that there were many, many, many positions, admittedly not in the hundreds or anything, but that there were some positions that literally no one knew how to do the job. So this does seem reasonable, but again, this is actually not a huge problem. Because, you know, what is Twitter doing that no one can understand? The code? Or what's the thing that, you know, no one can replace them? Elon Musk probably wanted to take these people back for a month or two, so they can pass down the knowledge and information and how things are done, and then fucking refire them. That's most likely what was happening here. So this is also not a bad thing. Admittedly, for those of you who do not know how this functions, this probably does sound really bad. But in reality, it's nothing.
It is just objectively true here that there are dozens of activist organizations trying to ruin Twitter's advertising structure. But why does it matter? Short answer, money, obviously. but not in the way that many people might think. Remember, Twitter isn't worth $44 billion. Not according to Musk, not according to his investors, not even according to the overinflated stock market in advance of the purchase itself. But that's the price tag it got. Here's the thing. With that price tag came various struggles. To finance this deal, Elon Musk saddled the company itself with roughly $13 billion in debt, which created debt servicing, as per the current interest rate, of nearly $1 billion per year. With a B, a billion. That would be fine, maybe, if Twitter wasn't all the fuck over the place with their profit and losses. Annualized, their best year ever was 2019, with a profit of $1.4 billion. Most other years were losses, right before COVID hit.
That doesn't actually mean that Twitter made 1.4 billion. Statistica, one of my least favorite sources again. And again, Twitter is doing write-offs here. They're most likely cooking the books in some kind of way that actually is helping them. And when I say cook, I don't actually mean legal. They're probably doing very legal things to make it actually function. But, you know, these losses, these things don't mean anything. Sometimes companies can accrue losses because they want to do it, because it's technically their advancement, they're expanding, they're doing things. So none of that matters. None of this matters. And again, the fact that Twitter was bought for 30, 40, however many billion, and was leaking money means if Elon Musk can make Twitter as something that is constantly raking in cash, again, he will just make it all back. So this doesn't even matter.
And then they started to hemorrhage money. That best year in history for them would lose roughly $1 billion if it were replicated right now for 2023, which, what do you think the odds of that are? Simply because of debt servicing, which would be interest payments on the $13 billion, not even paying down the principal. Elon Musk took a company that was already overvalued, according to every visible and basic metric, and dug it $1 billion annual hole to climb out of, while throwing it into chaos in the process.
Yes.
Can he do it? I don't know. But it's a lot more complicated than some people seem to think. Still.
No, it's not. That's the thing. It's not. All Elon Musk needs to do is fucking find a way that Twitter can actually generate money. And he's probably not, honestly, even going to look at the advertisers. He's probably going to use them for a while, but his ultimate goal most likely is not even rely on advertisement money, because it's just stupid. Think about it. A couple of activist groups are fucking just writing angry emails to advertisements and advertisers, and they're pulling their ads off of Twitter. That's fucking absurd. He probably doesn't even want Twitter to do this. And $1 billion in debt every year, yeah, that may seem bad, but in reality, when we're talking about things like this, that's not even that actually bad. Twitter's already losing fucking billions a year, so what's the big deal? Because it's not. Elon Musk bought Twitter because he thinks that there are things that he can change to generate money. Twitter Blue currently failed. Who cares? He's gonna implement something new after that. There's gonna be something implemented that generates money. That's the whole deal. If Elon Musk just finds a way to generate a revenue off of Twitter in a reliable way, even with advertisements or without advertisements in an ideal world, everything's fine. None of this fucking matters currently.
Let's go deeper. Activist organizations are absolutely pressuring advertisers to pull out of the platform, but the real history of this advertiser exodus goes back much further. There is this convention, I guess, or event called New Fronts, put on by the IAB, and the IAB, also known as the Interactive Advertising Bureau, is an organization that works with pretty much every single major brand you can think of. Once a year at this New Fronts event, advertisers, platforms, brands, and other major companies all meet discussing the coming year, and oftentimes securing contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars. We can see right here that Twitter is a fairly substantial member of this conference, putting on their own presentation and basically participating in the ecosystem it facilitates. Well, according to some sources in the room, that presentation failed this year. Not just failed, it utterly bombed and fell apart under chaotic pressure and swirling questions about Elon Musk's pending takeover that hadn't even happened yet at the time. This is where it gets dicey, because if that were to be true, and I can't...
Wait, of course it failed. Yeah, of course it... Okay, so let me explain this. If this conference is supposed to be something that can potentially get checks, sign up, deals made, and so on. No one's gonna want to make a fucking deal with you when your future goals are unknown because you're gonna be bought out. Obviously, this conference is not gonna go good for Twitter because no one wants to get in with them because they have no idea. Maybe Elon buys the company and says, "Hey, you know what? We're not gonna do this because I'm not actually interested in that anymore." So no one wants to risk that. No one wants to deal with that. Obviously, it bombed. Of course, no, everything said here makes perfect sense.
Can't verify it myself.
And none of that is bad.
In the room, but I think I do trust the sources that I've talked to and that I've seen. If Twitter had bombed at this convention and...
You don't need sources to know this. No one's going to risk their money on something that they don't know will be the same. Especially with all the agiotage that you can hear about Twitter getting taken over by Musk at the time. People didn't know what's going to happen. So people are not going to be like, yes, I'm going to invest $50 billion in Twitter advertisements now because, Elon Musk probably will just, play ball with me 100%. Not happening. This is completely expected.
Failed to secure hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising they would normally have snapped up under any normal circumstances.
Yes.
That would mean that they are entering a chaotic period of mass layoffs, decreased productivity, lower advertising.
Okay, now decreased productivity, I really doubt it. We're talking about Twitter, where half their employees spent all their day fucking eating for free in a room where you can close the door and lock it and yell because you need a moment for yourself, or played snooze table ball or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah, those people are not productive. Twitter hasn't done anything productive in a very long time. So it's hard to tell how much actual production value we're losing off of Twitter by people getting fired en masse. Arguably, not a lot.
And nearly $1 billion in spontaneous debt servicing all at the same time. That right there is a death spiral, but it gets worse.
No, it's not ideal. If you don't, well, it's not ideal if you don't have a plan, but the thing is, Elon Musk is trying things and he's doing things, so that doesn't mean that it's bad. Saying that that's a death spiral is the same as saying, yes, my business literally just made $50, and I'm not going to invest anything in to make it better. No, I'm happy with these $50 I'm making. We will never invest anything. That's the same.
As per Reuters, 5 days before Elon Musk actually took over, Twitter has been losing its most active users, who make up a critical part of its advertising structure.
Those active users could potentially be bots.
Are, after all, some of the most profitable users on the platform. Quote,
Top 10 most followed accounts, Barack Obama. Okay, but that doesn't matter. Like, follower count doesn't actually mean that, things matter. Like fucking Justin Bieber. Think about what's happening on Twitter. Does it matter that Justin Bieber becomes inactive for a week on Twitter because of Elon Musk? No, it does not. It doesn't matter at all. Think about it. People are talking about politics on Twitter, and Justin Bieber's like that. Hey, I just ate pie today. Yeah, no one gives a shit. That does not influence anything.
Twitter is also losing a devastating percentage of heavy users who are interested in fashion or celebrities, such as the Kardashian family. These users are likely decamping to rival platforms like Meta Platforms' Instagram and
Meta Platforms' Instagram, oof.
ByteDance's TikTok.
Okay, so again, they're leaving. Elon Musk just needs to bring them back, and he's most likely looking for ways to bring them back. He has already actually advertised the idea of actually paying creators for posting tweets. Admittedly, how that's gonna work or whatnot, I don't know, but if he pays creators for tweeting and whatnot, that could be pretty good. That could be pretty decent. That's gonna attract a lot of the millennial audiences back and so on if their favorite creators start posting a lot. Again, this is not bad. Twitter's in a bad position because people are leaving. Well, he just needs to figure out ways to get them back. Again, none of this is not expected. Everything of this is self-explanatory, understandable, and something that he's going to address at some point.
On, quote, The study also expressed surprise about the decline in interest for esports and online streaming personalities, which
I'm not sure about that one, Chief. I'm really not sure about that because the reality is I don't follow esports and streaming personalities too much, but a lot of them do actually use Twitter. That much I know. A lot of them do, and obviously someone, for example, comparing Twitter with Instagram. Who do you think a streamer that's not a female streamer is gonna use more, Twitter or Instagram? Obviously, it's gonna be Twitter because they don't need to post a sexy fucking booty pic of them every time. You know that Instagram works for female creators, but not for male creators.
were previously growing quickly across Twitter. The big communities are now in decline. End quote. That right there, by itself, would be bad news for platforms such as Twitter on any day. But amplified
Yes, that would be, but I don't. That's one study, first of all. I don't know if I'm gonna trust one study, and I actually not even too long ago saw the League of Legends World Championship. Man, people were fucking tweeting about that shit like crazy. If that's a decline, well, I don't know.
by everything else that has slammed into the company over the past few weeks, well, hopefully we can see a bit of a picture forming. Still, though, not done. It turns out that regardless of specifically why or how, many major companies have pulled advertising from Twitter in response to Elon Musk's takeover, including United Airlines, Pfizer, or General Motors.
Oh no.
But there's a hidden factor that a lot of people may have missed. The Advertiser exodus is based on two distinctly separate events that happen to align almost precisely in time frame, and one of them is much more talked about than the other. In September of 2022, directly before this
I have no idea. I can't even actually guess what these events are. I actually have no clue.
takeover, major companies began to suspend Twitter advertising because of a child abuse scandal on the platform. As we're being shown next
Dude, that happens all the time.
to
In fact, it happens more on TikTok and Instagram.
objectionable content,
And YouTube.
is what they call it, but it was really, really scary stuff. And a hefty list of major advertisers began to pull support from the platform, even in late September, for isolated reasons. Now, if we combine
Late September? Wait, actually, let me check. September. Yeah, late September. That's actually quite bad because late September is when all the ads start and when companies actually start prioritize things like the holidays. And Christmas is like the fucking biggest event from any company that sells actual physical goods. So that's not great, but does that matter? No. Scandals like this are happening daily on TikTok, daily on Instagram, daily on YouTube. Like, Twitter literally has. Not Twitter. Well, also Twitter. Again, scandals like this happen all the time. TikTok is, by the way, extremely notorious for underage children doing things on it. You know, there's absolutely no shits given about it. So the idea that this is like a unique Twitter thing is way overblowing the effect. Sure, maybe something big happened, but I don't remember anything like this. And Coca-Cola is saying, "Oh, we're not going to advertise on Twitter that much." Okay, you're still probably going to do it to a certain degree. You're probably not going to lose out all of that advertising, maybe for a month or two, but you know, after that, you're fucking back and you know it.
this with a separate list of advertisers who now left the platform for a specific reason that Elon Musk has created instability within it, we see something very interesting. The list of companies who have suspended advertising in totality seems to be diverse, in a sense.
Diverse? What the fuck do you mean? General Motors, Audi, Mazda, Porsche, Volkswagen, Ford. I don't know why he highlighted them, but yeah, these are not really diverse. Coca-Cola will pull their ads from anything that even remotely sounds bad. American Express, same shit. Johnson's and Johnson's. Oh yeah, the company that gives literal mothers cancer because they cannot be bothered to, you know, spend a couple of dimes on making their shit actually safe for human consumption. Oh, the advocates of fucking morals. Oh my god. Spotify. No one fucking cares. A lot of these things are like, okay, who actually gives a shit? And again, so there's this interesting dynamic, by the way. All of these companies leave, that means that there's more advertising space. That means that advertisement becomes more effective on a platform because previously, you know, if you were a car company, you had to actually battle for people who are gonna get the ads. It's who is gonna get the ad because you're battling one company, then there's Audi, then there's the Mazda, then there's Porsche, because all of them are most likely gonna go get that one ad on one person, right? And now these people are gone. AKA, the advertisements on Twitter are currently so much better for their competitives because if they choose to use Twitter now, that means their competition is gone. That means Twitter is completely monopolized in the AdSense through them. And the moment for example, the moment fucking Pepsi and Mountain Dew hear that Coca-Cola is off of Twitter, they're gonna pour in extra money in on their ads on Twitter. So this is why things like this don't work. Because people are gonna take advantage. Oh, Coca-Cola's not here anymore. Mountain Dew is already fucking clenching their hands and rubbing them real hard, and so is Pepsi and all the other brands. Because Coca-Cola, their literal biggest fucking adversary, is no longer here. AK, all that ad space, all those potential clicks, go one way. The moment a list like this happens, there's new people joining in the fray because they want that piece because that piece is lucrative.
But it's not as diverse as you may think. It turns out that the pattern of suspended ads includes various different names from various different industries, but it has a disproportionate number of car manufacturers on board. General Motors, Audi, Mazda, Porsche, Volkswagen, Ford, and now probably more, each with their own subsidiaries in tow, have all pulled their...
Oh, actually, if I'm thinking about this... Wait! Porsche and Mazda are owned by Volkswagen Group. I'm not sure about Ford. Maybe... So, essentially, Volkswagen Group owns a lot of cars. For example, Porsche and Ferrari are direct competition to one another in a lot of cases, but the reality is they're both owned by Volkswagen Group. So, essentially... Is he just gonna say, so Volkswagen owns all of them and they fucking just decide, hey, we're fucking off? That doesn't change anything.
Advertising. Why? Well, half of them are now developing electric vehicle alternatives to Tesla, and all of them compete with Tesla directly, so why...
Oh, okay.
not? There are actually many different reasons for this, including the fact that Twitter is, above all else, a data collection platform.
Oh, and by the way, I completely forgot. Thank you for reminding me of Preshalon. If Elon Musk can actually make a pre-reason... If Elon Musk can just use Twitter as a way for people to buy Teslas, that's fucking huge. Twitter can literally work as a loss, but as long as people are buying Teslas... Elon Musk wins,
which has a tremendous amount of information on user.
So just from that spot, if he can legitimately make the Twitter users convert into Tesla buyers, that's a win. That's insane. So if that happens, if he can find a way to make Twitter users into Tesla buyers just by advertising Tesla, creating a buy Tesla button on Twitter, he can actually let Twitter be negative and actually lose money as long as he sells the Teslas.
Behavior and advertising interactions. Why would you advertise on a social media that your competitor controls, who can then learn directly from every single ad spend you make about how to optimize their own sales based on user interactions with your products for free? But even more importantly, the Twitter acquisition was predicated on Elon Musk's own personal Tesla stock as collateral. If Twitter falls apart, Tesla gets dragged down with it. Maybe not all the way down, but there will certainly be turbulence, and that turbulence is great for competitors. Musk might be forced to put up even more of his own personal stock as collateral if the price of Tesla declines. Twitter will now require a massive amount of time and effort to optimize. It's chewing through capital like a wood chipper for numerous reasons.
But it has been chewing through capital like a wood chipper for a very long time. Nothing has really changed in that respect.
The debt financing so closely intertwined between the two companies, hurting Twitter means damaging Tesla to a degree, so why wouldn't they just cave to the outrage and pull all of their advertising? Actually, if it gets bad enough, I'm pretty sure that Elon Musk might lose control of Tesla. If the price declines far enough and he gets liquidated or has to put up more in collateral, I don't know, he could technically lose control of Tesla to a consortium of banks, or basically to just a bunch of institutional lenders. And that would be kind of crazy and probably destroy the company. Anyway, back on task for...
Pretty sure no fucking way. I'm very sure that there's no fucking... He's still the world's most richest man, right? Or even if he's like top 2, that still makes him quite the fucking untouchable thing.
Competing car manufacturers. They protect their own data, they might damage a competitor, they have plenty of other avenues to advertise on, no problem, and all of it is to their benefit with no downside. Maybe it's not a fully codified conspiracy per se, but it's certainly worth thinking about.
By the way, about that, I don't know if this point actually stands. It kind of sounds reasonable and kind of okay. The idea that, hey, people who are gonna be a competitor to Tesla don't actually want their ads on Twitter because Elon can get their juicy secrets. But the reality is, Twitter has already saved how your ads performed and who they best performed on, so that kind of doesn't matter. Elon already has this data, and second of all, if there's, let's imagine that there's no advertisers wanting to buy ads on Twitter at all. So that means there's free reign for Elon to literally launch Tesla ads, SpaceX ads, and have a huge pool of statistics who these ads are most effective on and so on. So he's kind of right that that kind of matters a little bit, but in reality it doesn't, because it can be just replicated and done, and he already has the information a lot. So at the end, it doesn't matter once again.
Top to bottom, the platform is unraveling. The most obvious mechanism Elon Musk has now turned to for recouping all of this hemorrhaging capital is Twitter Blue, where a verification checkmark will be sold for $8 per month to anyone that wants it.
Yeah, we already know how that worked out.
But realistically, how many people are likely to buy that? Millions? Sure, fine, I'll give you that.
That doesn't matter. There's a huge chance, well, obviously, Elon... So, this is the thing. Elon Musk understands that it doesn't really matter how many people buy Twitter Blue. He just wants to see, currently, most likely, how much he can sell. How much people are actually willing to buy shit. Twitter Blue is most likely just a quick idea experiment. And we kind of know how it ended, but most likely he just wanted to do market research through Twitter Blue.
But remember, the primary base of support Elon Musk now appears to be catering to have felt disenfranchised by Twitter political leanings and checkmark bias for years. Elon Musk himself just agreed with the assertion that Twitter employees are corrupt and were selling the checkmarks for $15,000 apiece.
Wait, how does that matter?
So why would the people that have seen that blue mark as a sign of corruption and idiocy for years, it was ridiculed by them, suddenly turn and pay money for it? Some will, but many won't. And
well, that is a really, 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 really bad argument. Some will, but many won't is not really an argument. Some people buy bread and many, many don't buy bread. Does that mean that bread is not useful and obsolete? No. No. It doesn't matter if every single person doesn't buy the thing. As long as some people actually do buy the thing, that's good enough. Because, you know, how much do you think it costs for Twitter to sell fucking Twitter Blue? I'll give you a hint. Not exactly a lot. Not exactly a lot. So, you know, if some people buy it and some don't, that's not actually a problem. That's still good for Twitter at the end of the days. So, you know, even though they did cancel it because of pretty fucking funny trolling and whatnot, which was hilarious, by the way, you know, it's still just a test at the end of the day. It's just a test, and he's gonna see, do people buy, do people not buy it, and how things work.
And inversely, the people who had it for free and lorded it over the rest of the population as if it were meaningful, look at me, I'm so important with my blue check mark, are suddenly going to pay money for it to a man that they ideologically hate? Some...
Okay, I'm pretty sure as long as Elon Musk is for free speech, these people who hated the blue checkmark are actually on the side of Elon Musk, so they could buy at the blue checkmark. And the point is, he's missing the biggest point. Upper Echelon is missing the biggest fucking point. Just selling a blue checkmark is obviously stupid. And that's why I'm saying that Elon's just using it as a general point to see how many people are actually going to buy it and how things function like that. Because the reality is, he's going to implement something that gives you more options as a commodity, and Twitter Blue is going to be a part of that commodity. That Twitter Blue is going to allow you extra options that you didn't previously see or have access to.
Will, again, yes. But how many millions will do it? How many millions or tens of millions won't? And how many tens or hundreds of millions would it actually take to earn back these losses?
Well, if you kind of do the math, let's say you have 1 million people buying Twitter Blue for a year. And that's not by the way, that's not a huge estimate because, Twitter is being used by a lot more than just 1 million people. So let's say 1 million people buy Twitter Blue. That is 8 million a fucking month. That's a lot of money. That's a pretty big chunk of money that, by the way, has absolutely, in reality, it has absolutely no operating costs almost attached to it. So that's essentially just free 8 million a month, which is 96 fucking million a year. And that's just from 1 million people. Imagine now 2 million or 3 million or 4 million or 5 million actually do it. That is a significant amount of money that Twitter is getting virtually for no costs at all. So there is no downside for it. And Twitter Blue is probably going to see a resurrection in some form sooner or later. But yeah, things like this have no negative side to them.
Even more examples of erratic behavior that are worthy of coverage here, but for the sake of length, I'll summarize. On a whim, Elon Musk overturned the rule that parody accounts that weren't properly labeled as parody would receive a warning before a suspension. This may not have been, but seems to be, a direct response to people now parodying his own account, and has resulted in numerous allegedly permanent suspensions of major users on the platform, and it all really kind of looks like...
Wait a minute. Did Upper Echelon not actually fucking do his homework? Because H3, I made a video about this. H3 did not actually parody correctly. Kathy Griffin did not parody, use the parody thing correctly. Oh boy.
He didn't like the fact that some people were parodying him, so he made this new rule and just nuked all of them. Here's another one. After asserting that activist organizations were tanking Twitter ad revenue, which is true, one of the people in the call with Elon Musk who discussed advertiser concerns recently replied. It was cordial, albeit critical, and yet Elon Musk just simply blocked him. What are his reasons? I don't know. But one thing is absolutely true here. Twitter is
Wait. I actually want to read that tweet in that case. Because it doesn't matter if he gets blocked. Elon, great chat yesterday. As you heard overwhelmingly for serious advertisers on the call, the issue concerning us all is content moderation and its impact on brand safety suitability. You say you committed to moderation, but you laid off 50% of the moderation team. Is this a joke? This must be a fucking joke, right? So for all the replies I received that content moderation equals DNL of free speech, it doesn't. What do you say? Wait, it actually, content moderation to a degree does equal denial of free speech. But that's a different argument. Say about the fact that Chief Twitter just blocked me. That is not... I think Elon Musk just thinks this guy is a fucking dipshit moron. Because if anyone told me, yeah, you fired 75% of the moderation team and we have fuck off. That I fired 75% of the moderation team that was not useful and didn't do anything, and you're fucking mad about it? Would you actually pay me money if I added 100% of moderation staff? Question mark. This is such stupid logic. This is not even logic at all. Moderation can be zero affected, heavily affected, or become better because of that 75% firing. That firing doesn't mean that it got worse instantaneously. Dude, this is just dumb if this is true. This is so stupid if this is true.
And yet, Elon Musk just simply blocked him. What are his reasons? I don't know. But one
The fact that it's a retarded question.
thing is absolutely true here. Twitter is circling the drain. Saddled with an unbelievable amount of debt, languishing under a barrage of activist fury, starving for advertiser dollars, and thrown into chaos by mass firings that
Yeah, that's not true. Anyway,
probably went a little too fast, since they now have to hire some of those people back. This platform is in a position of pure, unmitigated chaos, with no guarantee that it even survives, and no clear direction for the future. Will it pull out of the nosedive? Maybe. Will Elon Musk make it work? I have no idea, but what we see right now is, in my opinion, a death spiral. I'm not really sad, just intrigued as to what will happen next. But yeah, that's it. If you want to support, please check out the links down below. Obviously, the video sponsor, Masterworks, also local.
Yay! Well, it was an interesting video, but admittedly, again, as I suspected, didn't hear anything that actually says, Twitter's actually in a death. No, none of this means shit. The only thing at the end of the day that's gonna matter is, can Elon Musk implement some kind of way for Twitter to gain monetary value through some kind of actions, ads, or whatever? If he can do that, none of this shit matters. As long as there's not actual legit competition to Twitter of people, a platform with 50% or a huge chunk of Twitter's audience, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. Again, nothing of this is even remotely bad in my opinion. It's not even remotely threatening. Sure, there is a chance that Elon Musk completely fails and doesn't find any way of actually making Twitter more profitable, but even in that case, all he needs to do is revert everything to the old way that Twitter ran things, and he's back literally at square one, where Twitter is just not profitable, but no one gives a shit. Oh my god, this is insane. Absolutely insane. But it was fun. Anyway, like and subscribe. Bye-bye.